Welcome back, everyone, to Hard True Hoops, brought to you by Unapologetic Sports Network. That is McCaven. I am Anthony. McCaven, how are you doing today?
Knicks in four, man. I'm doing really, really well. Knicks gonna win the championship too.
Whoa. Let's relax. Let's slow down. But since last time we recorded, the Knicks have made quick work of the Cavaliers. I thought at some point, see, this is the conference finals check-in episode. You know, we have a 3-2 series on the other side. And we have a series that's been over for a few days now. Honestly, a little disappointed in the Cavs. But then again, at the same time, I'm not. You wanna know why I'm not? Because of Donovan Mitchell. He ain't no superstar. That guy's not no superstar. But the main conversation has been about my guy, James Harden, right? We had a little bit of conversation yesterday regarding James Harden and his mishaps in the playoffs or whatever. And see, as a James Harden fan, first of all, any mishaps in the playoffs that happen past Houston, I don't give a damn about because it don't affect my team. Now, personally, as a fan of him, I would want to see him, be, have a win or whatever. But at the same time, it's just like we're in year 17. He's 36 years old. I'm pretty sure most people have already just, came to the understanding he's probably going to be ringless, right?
Yeah.
Most people came to that understanding years ago. So the fact that the conversation with this Cavs team has been mostly about James has really pissed me off a lot because it's like we got this guy who's supposed to be the best player on the team. He was All NBA first team last year. There's another All NBA and Defensive Player of the Year that's on the team, but we're not going to talk about him, right? But James Harden, the guy who's supposed to be the third option, wants to be the third option, been trying to be a third option for like 5 years now. It's all his fault.
Yeah, nah, man. Nah. To add to your conversation, the way that I view it and view that series was one, just obviously the Knicks dominance. But for Cleveland's sake, and we talked about it like you said, but to get it here on the episode, I don't fully, I'm not one of those who put majority of the blame on James Harden. My blame pie goes to Donovan Mitchell first, coaching second, and then James Harden third. That's how my blame pie goes. And the others, follow after that. But yeah, I don't put majority of the blame on James Harden like a lot of people are. Like you said, like you noted, he's not the best player on that team. He's not even supposed to be the best player on that team.
Not supposed to be the second best player either. Let's talk about it.
Honestly, he's not. And so to for major news outlets and other talk shows to be putting a large percentage of the blame or even just a whole bunch of blame on James Harden, it's just outlandish, and it just really shows that a lot of people just really don't understand basketball at its core.
And the thing with James Harden, right, is the conversation is so disingenuous, right? Obviously, the talking point that for some reason is like people are really still harping on this when it's like the James Harden versus Dwayne Wade conversation, which as someone that's a James Harden fan, when I'm talking about as a basketball player, I'm always pick James Harden, right? Now the career of the greater career, whatever, D Wade got that. Now if James Harden has Shaq and LeBron, but I've seen something, and I've seen this comment or concern or whatever people have said. James Harden is the worst superstar ever, right? Crazy. So then, you know what I decided to do? I decided let me pull up play because first of all, I want to figure out what they mean by superstar, right? And then I want to be like, okay, let's talk about him against other superstars. So what I did was I compiled a list of players who have made 5 or more All NBA selections since James Harden got into the league, right?
Okay.
Because if you made 5 All NBA appearances, you're at least a really, really good player. And then if you have way more than 5, then you're probably a superstar. So these are, and I'm gonna say some names that are better than James Harden. So we don't really got to talk about them, right? The big three: Bron, KD, Steph. We don't got to talk about them, even though the Steph one, that's a conversation for another day as far as players. But Steph got it. Chris Paul, someone who I would consider a superstar. Who is Chris Paul the most? Is he a better player performer than James Harden? Hard to say. You could say he is.
That is true. That is hard to say. I will agree.
You could say in some regards he is, but then Chris Paul always got as many excuses as anybody.
Yeah.
Chris Paul, honestly, is the biggest excuse why James Harden ain't got a ring right now. He's the first excuse I bring up. 2018. That's the year I bring up. Chris Paul will get hurt. You know. Giannis got it. Giannis is a better player than James Harden. Cool. Yeah. Jokic got it.
Yeah.
He's a better player than James Harden. Russell Westbrook. You lose me there. James Harden's better than Russ.
Oh, well, that's debatable, but
hey, you can debate all you want. I ain't debating nothing.
That's debatable.
What's the debate? What is the argument for Russ over Harden as a superstar in this league?
It's like you don't remember none of the triple doubles that he was averaging for multiple seasons.
Does that make you a superstar? Getting a triple double?
Because
I'm talking about averaging. If you bring up the triple doubles, if I bring up James Harden's regular season stuff, no one ever wants to hear that. You want to know why? Because that's not where the conversation is going. We're talking about the playoffs. What did he average? What did he do in the playoffs? Because that's what the conversation is. It has nothing to do with the regular season. James Harden averaged 36 a game in the regular season. No one give a damn because he lost in the playoffs. So what did Russ do in the playoffs?
Russ is in the exact same boat as James Harden in the playoffs, and that's why I'm like, it's debatable on who's really better in that conversation because they're in the same boat when it comes to the playoffs.
And look, James Harden led better teams, and Russ without KD never got the first round. But hey, Damian Lillard, we didn't have to talk about Dame. We have to talk about Dame.
Oh man.
Now I did say, which I use AI for this, but it got Kobe on here. You know, Kobe's Kobe. Dwight Howard. Another reason why James Harden got nothing, if I'm being honest. But I'm gonna put that on Dwight and James. James wasn't a superstar yet. They was young, or James was young at least. Kawhi can have it for now. Kawhi can. The thing with Kawhi, very short-lived. Mm-hmm. The moments was just better, but short-lived. Short-lived. Anthony Davis, very tough one.
That's a very tough one because he got a ring.
Right? He do got a ring.
And it's not like he's put up good. I mean, no.
I mean, technically, Dwight Howard got a ring as well, but
technically, but AD was a major contributor to that ring, and he has. And I'm sorry, AD, for disrespecting him. He has put up great regular season numbers. I'm not saying he's averaged 36 a game like James Harden did in the regular season.
Yeah, right? He ain't never been that.
Yeah, he ain't never been.
He has been, but not.
Yeah, he's been in MVP conversations. He obviously has not won an MVP. That's a tough conversation. That's a tough one. That's a toss up.
Luka.
James Harden is better than Luka at the current moment right now.
That's a conversation that it's funny. I've heard Luka's been better than prime James Harden for like 5 years now.
Ooh, I don't know about that.
I'm waiting for Luka to do. I mean, he led his team to the finals.
Yeah, that is true. I mean, Luka has no hardware. He has no hardware.
No.
Well, excuse me. He just got, he led the NBA in scoring this year. So, if you get a trophy for that, he got a trophy for that. But,
even with he don't have no hardware, but Luka is a better playoff player than James Harden.
Yeah,
but the conversation is never about being a better playoff player because at the end of the day, most people don't care about what you do in the playoff as long as you win. We'll talk about somebody that's Oklahoma City doing that same thing. Another person who didn't matter what his stats was, but he won, Jason Tatum.
Oh my gosh. Yeah, yeah. James Harden is better than Jason Tatum. Yeah, that you want to talk about not performing and getting an A on the project. Yeah,
Hey, but his teams are amazing though, right? Paul George. Do we have to talk
we,
about Paul George?
we don't know. Paul George is a bunch of wasted potential. That's all that is.
Hey, it sucks when you gotta run to LeBron, right? It sucks when you gotta run into the bad guy. You end up losing. What? Jimmy Butler
James Harden better.
and Jimmy Butler, another player who's had great playoff moments, went to the finals twice.
He don't have the regular season moments. He don't have
He don't.
he saves all of his games for the postseason. Which credit to him, I mean, but it's just you can't be talked about amongst the greats, if you don't have the regular season numbers and to back it up with at least some kind of hardware or postseason success. And James Harden has that hardware. So
This guy has some hardware. James Harden actually helped him get some hardware. Joel Embiid.
mm.
Now I
Joel
think Joel's
Embiid,
a better player than James Harden, but he gets the benefit of the doubt of he never actually like is healthy. So
yeah, and that's where I'm still going to put James Harden over him too. I mean, like you said, James Harden helped him get that hardware. In addition to Joel Embiid, like you said, availability has been trash, and then also what has he done in the playoffs?
exactly. The last guy I'm gonna mention, DeMar DeRozan,
Oh, come on, why do you even bring him up?
because I wanted to bring that up because this is the list of guys, and then, there was a few names I skipped over. I skipped over LaMarcus Aldridge, I skipped over
Good.
Blake Griffin, I skipped over Rudy Gobert because we're not about to talk about them guys.
Okay, good.
Um,
You could have skipped them all.
but the point stands. Yes, has James Harden been disappointing as a superstar player in the playoffs? Yes,
Yeah.
but like I told you yesterday, I judge him one mostly based off what he did in Houston because that's where his peak and prime really was.
Hmm.
Um, Everything post Houston, he has not wanted to be the superstar. He has not wanted to be the main guy. Does that mean that we can excuse the playoff losses and the mishaps and the way he plays in the playoffs? Absolutely not. And I will never do that. Right? I will only excuse what happened in Houston because I watched firsthand us get cheated. I watched it. Um, but everything after that, hey, the mishaps are the mishaps. But when he went to Brooklyn, Kyrie got hurt, and KD Foot was online, and James Harden was also hurt. So if you want to blame James Harden for getting hurt, fine. He went to Philly, and his superstar Joel Embiid gets hurt, but also Joel Embiid also didn't play up to par. He goes to the Clippers. And if I'm being honest, that year when they played against the Mavericks, James Harden was the best player in the court. Kawhi wasn't healthy, and Paul George is Paul George, right? Last year against the Nuggets, Kawhi gave us one really good game, right, where he could barely miss. Everything other than that, James Harden was the best player on the team. But no one wants to say that because they want to keep going with the narrative that he's a bad playoff player, right?
Yeah,
And
yeah,
then
I
he
was about
goes
to
to
say it's more so to push that narrative and not, and this is what I was talking about. Like you really see who really knows basketball at its core because um right, it's not the fact of right that we're not giving any blame or excusing James Harden. It's just it's a blame pie, and as far as in all of those situations, I don't, other than like you said, other than his Houston days, in my opinion, James Harden does not receive the largest slice of blame pie in
well,
any and on any of those teams.
each of these stops, of course, like in Philly, I mean, if you want, that blame pie can be Doc Rivers, Joel Embiid, James Harden, and a little sliver for Tobias Harris. But like, yeah, the blame pie, he always gets a slice. I'm never gonna say he doesn't
Hmm.
get a slice, but people are trying to make it seem like he gets the whole pie. And that's
Yeah,
BS to me.
yeah,
Uh,
that's crazy.
and then we get to this year with Donovan Mitchell and the Cavs. And was James Harden the best player on the team? Did he perform the best? It's hard to say because they all kind of play like ass, if I'm being honest. Donovan Mitchell does let me put up a bunch of points gimmick and make everybody think I don't got no help. He been doing that for years, and people been falling for it.
Mhm.
And then, like you said, the coaching, which I then want to ask you this next question. Kenny Atkinson, after game 3, had said analytically they had won 2 out of 3 games. Now I know you're not an NBA coach, so the analytics isn't what you know operate off of. But as a coach, how do you feel? Because I understand what he's trying to say.
Yeah.
Because your coach, actually JJ Redick, said something similar. I think it was in the OKC series when he said like, "Hey, we're getting the shots we want; they're just not falling." Basically, saying like, "We're gonna keep doing what we're doing. It's just we gotta make the shots."
Yeah.
And that's
Yeah.
basically what I got from what Kenny Atkinson was saying is like, "Hey, the process is what we want. The results just aren't what we want." How do you feel as a coach hearing that? And is it something that you kind of believe in, or you kind of use that? Of course, you wouldn't say it out loud. Now, obviously, you're not an NBA coach, so they're not media asking you the question. But how do you feel about it?
No, I would never say that out loud. And no, I don't. I'm not a full believer in that. What JJ said, and then what Kenny Atkinson said, in my opinion, for me, in my opinion, are two different things. Those are separate. Um, JJ, as far as JJ was more so, like you said, was we're running exactly what we want to run. We're getting the shots that we want to get. They're just not falling. Kenny Atkinson basically said they won the game, but the scoreboard didn't show that they won the game at all. Um,
Yeah,
right. So that's two different things. I don't like what Kenny Atkinson said. Analytically, we won the game. You didn't. You. I. It just seems. I don't know. That's just not the approach that I would take. I don't think, in my opinion, obviously I've never coached like grown men, but in my opinion, I don't think that that's anything anybody in that locker room wants to hear. And they getting blown out by 30 or blown out by 20. Like that's not what the team needs to hear, in my opinion. I don't think it was smart. I honestly don't know if it was fully smart on Cleveland to bring him back. Um, and yeah, that's a whole nother conversation. But yeah, just from the coaching side of it, I don't agree with that. That is a bad take, and yeah, something I would never say out loud.
yeah. Like I said, I understand what he's saying. It's just don't say that out loud. You don't just say that. That's something like if the coaches when they're going through the film, when they're going
Yeah,
through everything, it's like, okay, based off everything we've done, we should be winning, but we're not. So then you should just go in and say, all right, what do we adjust to, to try to figure out what we can fix.
yes,
But
that's
they,
exactly. If I'm sitting with you and we're going over film like you said, and we're looking at the box score and we see, okay, well we did our rebound them. Okay, well we shot better from three. Okay, we only had one more turnover, right? Plus minus stuff. That okay, yeah, that's where we're sitting side by side. I'm like, okay, well and then analytically, we did really well against them. Now we just have to, change our game plan a little bit. You don't say that to me. You don't say that out loud.
which I mean, hey, he's an NBA coach, so a thing people say all the time is he probably forgot more basketball than we'll ever know. But that's just something you just don't say. So, um, but shout out to the Knicks. The Knicks made it to the NBA Finals for the first time in our lifetime. So shout out to
Yep.
them. Honestly, um, I said this to you yesterday. I think seeing the teams like the Knicks make it to the finals, and honestly, this whole decade started with the Suns versus the Bucks. Two I don't want to say poverty teams, but two teams that really ain't never did nothing. Making to the finals, play against each other. Ultimately, only one of them got the ring. So, sorry, Suns fans, but at least you made it to the finals.
Yeah.
Then the Nuggets got a championship, and the Celtics. I mean, the Celtics aren't fishing for championships, but only their second championship since they really got championships. So really, you know,
Right.
um, and then who else won?
OKC.
OKC. Yep, another team that ain't never won a championship. At least not in Oklahoma City. They got a Seattle championship, but
Yeah.
seeing the Knicks make it, teams that ain't never did nothing, do something, is always nice to see. I think it's good for the league.
Yeah,
I
in a
think it
great
helped
market.
right in a great market. Especially, I mean, a few of these championships, like the ones I mentioned, are smaller market teams. You know, the New York Knicks being a big market team, they got fans everywhere. You see that with how they travel to all these games, regardless of which team they play. I'm pretty sure there's going to be a lot of Knicks fans in either Oklahoma City or San Antonio.
Mhm.
And it's just it makes it to where teams like 10 years ago, the Knicks were terrible, right? And it's just like you see teams now that are trying to go through rebuilds or trying to reset, and they never did nothing. It's just like this could give them hope. Like, hey, if we do what we're supposed to do as a franchise, we
Mhm.
might actually, um, be able to do something. And you got to really capitalize on a year like this year, where I mean, people had the Cavs versus Knicks, being the conference finals, fighting to see who's going to make it to the championship this year. People like to say the East is weak, and Indiana isn't what they were the past few years, and the Celtics. Jason Tatum just came back late in the season. So, it was the opportunity. People were like, all right, Knicks, this is your time. And they took full advantage, and they aren't playing with their food. They won 11 straight games, headed to the finals. Like that's nothing but dominance. Even if the teams they play, like the Cavs are, weak, right? It's like, hey, you still gotta play who's in front of you. And the fact they whooped
Yeah.
everybody else in front of them, you gotta tip your hat to them. So shout out to the Knicks. I want to talk about the MVP of the league, Shea. Um, you know, he is supposedly supposed to be the best player in the league, right? And he's not quite playing like it. Now, the Thunder did win yesterday.
Mhm.
Um, Matter of fact, let me pull up his exact stats because he had a relatively good scoring game as far as the number, right? But
But something I told you while you pulling that up, something I told you, I don't know if I said it on one of our episodes. If I didn't, I'm saying it now. But I know I told you, especially off the air, was that the Lakers, JJ Redick, gave everybody the game plan on how to guard Shea in the playoffs, on how to really take him out of the game and disrupt his game and disrupt his flow and not allow, you know, the referee, unfortunately they did the last game, but not really allow SGA and the referees to control the game. And right off the bat, game one, San Antonio is guarding SGA the exact same way the Lakers were, the exact same way. Because I mean, it works. It works. And credit to JJ and his coaching staff. I don't know who specifically came up with that, but credit to them because it works and teams are copying it. I think moving forward, like every year in the playoffs, that's just what you're. I think that's just what SGA is going to have to go against, and I think that's what he's going to see.
well, funny thing about that is that Shea, most people won't ever want to say this, has low-key been a playoff dropper, if I'm being honest. But of course they're not going to say that, because he did win the championship. And I mean, his team continues to win, which is it's crazy how much you benefit having a great team.
Mm-hmm.
Last night, Shea was 7 for 19, 16 for 17 from the free throw line. He ended with 32 points on 36% from the field. But ultimately the team won, so the bad shooting night didn't matter. But my main thing with Shea, like I said, is the playoff dropping because I've been hearing him being compared to certain people, and I really don't want to keep rehashing James Harden thing, but it's like it's crazy how James Harden playoff drop, we all talk about it. Shea playoff drop, no one says anything because he doesn't have this reputation. But I went and looked because I wanted to see if this was really how it was. Now, Shea in the regular season was really nice, right? He was, this is all the shooting location, the shot distances. Less than 5 feet in the regular season, almost 70%, 68.8%, 0 to 5 feet, or less than 5 feet. He's like, when he's at the rim, he's making it.
Yeah.
5 to 9 feet, 47.6%. That mid range that's been deadly, that 10 to 14 feet, 58%. That is elite. That 15 to 19 feet, 53.8%. And then from 3, 24 to 24 feet, 39. And then 25 to 29 feet, 39.7. That's the regular season. Postseason this year. At the rim, 60%, which, like I said, that's
It's a drop. That's what, 10% drop?
as an 8% drop from the regular season.
Like,
5 to 9 feet, he's at 45%, which is a 2% drop from, regular season. That 10 to 14 feet, 50%, 8% drop. That 15 to 19 feet, he's at 41% in the playoffs. That is 53% in the regular season. That is a 12% drop off. From the 3-point line, 39%, like I said, from both spots. In the playoffs, it is 33 and 30%. Now, obviously, the sample size is not nearly as much, but
yeah.
I mean, he's not playing up to par as an MVP player, right? And it's not just a this year thing either. Last year, let's see, regular season, less than 5 feet, 68%. 5 to 9 feet, 47, 10 to 14, 54, 5 to 19, 49, and then 20 to 24 feet, which is that 3-point line, that's 26%, not really that good. But the 20 to 29 feet, he was 39%. In the postseason, he dropped again. Less than 5 feet, it was 59% last year, which was a almost 10% drop off. That 5 to 9 feet, that 47%, that dropped, or actually no, that rose to 50%. So given that, well, it was less shots, of course. That 10 to 14 feet, 54%, that dropped to 44%. Another 10% drop in that same area.
Yeah.
That 15 to 19 feet, that was 49% in the regular season. In the playoffs, it actually went up to 53%. And then 3-point line, it was 24 and then 29% for 3, which, again, still is a drop overall.
Yeah.
But like I said, his team is winning in spite of, the bad shooting.
Got a great squad, got a great team. I mean, and that's just what it is right now for him. He has a great squad around him. In the regular season, his numbers are really well. So I would probably imagine he's probably going to win 1 or probably 2 more MVPs, simply because of that. As long as they can keep this group together, and they keep winning like they do. But yeah, it's definitely a conversation that's not being talked about or anything like that. I don't know how many people are even looking at these kind of numbers and noticing the drop and noticing the decline. I think it's going to take OKC losing a lot more and kind of having some bad losses. They're going to need some bad losses for people to really take a look at, well, wait a minute, hold on, SGA efficiency is dropping when the playoffs come around.
Yeah, and I think which I'm trying to find if I can pull up their payroll.
Yeah, that's the big part.
Because someone like Chet right now, who's also not playing good at all. I didn't even pull his stats up, but I know they're egregious. I think he's averaging like 10. I heard, which this is prior to game 4 or game 5. I heard that in the first 4 games, he had 45 points total. So that's about 10 points a game, 11 points a game. And then J-Dub being hurt, right? It's like, yes, Shea is having to do a lot of lifting, and he's not lifting that much, but the team is still good. But if he's as great as he's supposed to be, he's supposed to do that. He doesn't do that. Not now. His team is still 1 win away from the finals. in spite of his bad play. So, he's gonna just skate by this criticism for now.
Yeah, yeah.
But
Like I said, they're a great team. We'll see. For New York's sake, honestly, New York really hopes. I would, if I'm New York, I would rather see OKC than the Spurs. I don't know if New York has an answer for Wemby, and that may be an issue, but you never know. But yeah, we'll see. We'll see. I know we are both still expecting the Spurs to win this series. So we'll see how this next game goes. They play tonight?
tomorrow,
Tomorrow. That's what I thought it was tomorrow. Okay, yeah. So we'll see how the next game goes, and yeah, we'll see if OKC is going back to the finals.
yeah, they better because it gets really expensive. So next year, Shea's gonna get paid $40 million, which is so crazy that he's still getting paid only 40. But then they would have to figure out what they're gonna do with Isaiah Hartenstein and Lou Dort, which both of them I'm sure are gonna get major pay cuts. They want to stay at least, but I'm not sure if they can keep both because Chet contract next year kicks in at $41 million.
Mm.
Jalen Williams contract kicks in $41 million.
I was about to say J-Dub contract shit too. Yeah.
Now they have all of them tied up until 2030, so those three can still be there. It's all the ancillary pieces all around. Case and Wall is going to need a contract soon. And,
Mm-hmm.
the other Jalen, not worried about him.
Yeah, we Casey Wallace. You got Isaiah Joe, AJ Mitchell.
AJ Mitchell, which AJ Mitchell, he's gonna be on the team next year, getting paid $2.8 million. That's a steal right there, still. But eventually, they are gonna have to think about paying him.
They're not going to be able to afford it. They're going to lose AJ Mitchell for sure. So especially if he continues on his path, some team is going to be looking at offering him $20 million a year. So, and OKC won't be able to pay that tab.
Right. So it's they have a window, and so they better capitalize on it because if Shea's not going to play like he's the best player in the world in the playoffs, and he's just going to consistently drop, yeah, the team can hold up the end of the bargain now. In years to come, if he's not playing at that level that he should be playing as an MVP player, then it's going to get real ugly for him soon. But that's just me being a hater. They're up 3-2 in the series, so it's all fine. Before we wrap up, though, I want to ask: have you seen the All NBA teams?
I saw the All NBA. I saw All NBA first team. I didn't look at second or third.
Okay, first team was Jokic, Wemby, Shea, Luka, and Cade. I don't have any issues with that one so far, or not. I don't have any issues at all. Second team: Jaylen Brown, Kawhi, Kevin Durant, Donovan Mitchell, Jalen Brunson.
Okay,
Then third team: Jalen Duren, Jalen Johnson, Chet, Tyrese Maxey, and Jamal Murray.
Jamal Murray. Okay.
Now Jamal Murray, I'm not surprised he made it.
I'm not saying he had a bad season. Who got snubbed? I'm trying to think about who would be the first snub.
Well, Anthony Edwards didn't qualify. And then the biggest snub I've seen that the internet has been in an uproar about, which I think might be mostly because of the playoffs, is Scotty Barnes. A lot of people are trying to get Jalen Duren off of here, even though Jalen Duren didn't show up in the playoffs. Jalen Johnson's sitting right there. Take him off. Cool year. Shout out Jalen Johnson, but All NBA third team. Wow.
Yeah, I don't know. That's for me, Jalen Johnson, Scotty Barnes. In my opinion, that's a pick 'em. But so I'm not in the uproar about that. I don't think that's a crazy snub or anything like that.
Which just looking at All NBA team last year, players that made it that didn't make this year. Giannis, obviously, he didn't play enough, but if Giannis played enough, he would be on here.
Oh yeah.
Evan Mobley's not on here again. Cat's not on here again. LeBron didn't qualify. Jalen Williams didn't qualify. Jason Tatum, Stephen Curry, Anthony Edwards didn't qualify. Tyrese Halliburton, and James Harden. So it's a lot of guys that weren't on it, that were on it last year, that's not on it this year.
Yeah.
But overall, I'm not too mad at it. Defensive team, the only thing I'm mad about, Scotty Barnes made second team. So first team was Victor, Chet, Asar, Rudy, and Derek White. I don't know why Derek White is on first team. That should be Scotty Barnes' spot.
Yeah.
The second team was Scotty Barnes, Casey Wallace, Bam, OG, and Dyson Daniels. Me personally,
Damn.
Bam was pretty good defensively. The team was bad. The team was very bad, but he was good defensively. I thought Ben Thompson should have made it, but he made it last year. I can't. One of the Thompson twins is gonna make it. As long as one of them make it, I'm fine. Because one of them's on there, I feel like they're both on there. As long as one of them's on there. Plus, I'm sorry.
Nah, they both should be on there. I mean, literally talking about. I'm not even joking. Literally talking about two of the top 3 wing defenders in the league. And like in the third is Scotty Barnes. In my opinion, the top 3 is Scotty Barnes and then both of the Thompson twins. If I want somebody to guard on the perimeter, I'm picking one of those 3.
Yeah. I mean, OG Anunoby's really good. I had no issue with OG. And honestly, the only Dyson Daniels and Derek White are 2 that I'm just like, yeah. But maybe I didn't watch enough Dyson Daniels this year. I didn't watch much Atlanta to be like, oh, let me see what Dyson Daniels is doing.
Derek White over a man is kind of that's kind of upsetting.
Yeah, I'm not seeing many people mad about that one for some reason. But hey, the Celtics got a big fan base. Yeah, you got anything else for the episode?
No, Knicks hopefully get to play OKC in the finals, man. So they can win.
We will see. Hopefully, this series in the Western Conference Final doesn't end in 6. I want to see a game 7, hopefully, and then at that point, anybody wins. Because it's crazy because even though I became a pseudo Spurs fan, I haven't really became a Spurs fan to the degree to where I'm like over here pissed that they're down 3-2. Because if this was the Rockets, bro, I'd be sick if we were down 3-2 in the conference finals right now. But I do want to see them win game 6 and then hopefully win game 7 because I think it would just be more interesting for the league if it's Spurs versus Knicks, 2 teams. Like, because just keep following what's been going on all decade. A new team every single year. Just keep doing that. I don't want to see OKC go back to back. It just won't be as interesting. Plus, this year team, I don't like nearly as much as the last year team. But it is what it is. Sorry, everybody, I'm sick. But we can go ahead and end there. With all that being said, thank you guys for watching Hard Truth Hoops brought to you on Project Sports Network. That's McCabe. This is Anthony. See you guys next time. Peace.